Evil comes in many shapes and forms across fiction, but some villains stand above the rest in their pure malevolence. Today, we're diving deep into some of the most sinister antagonists ever created, exploring just how dark and twisted their stories truly are. Number 1. Emperor Palpatine from Star Wars. Emperor Palpatine embodies pure political evil, masked behind a grandfatherly facade. As both Supreme Chancellor and Sith Lord, he orchestrated the Clone Wars, corrupted Anakin Skywalker, and transformed a democratic republic into his personal empire. But his public persona couldn't be further from reality. Beneath that diplomatic smile lies a sadistic monster who revels in suffering. He doesn't just kill his enemies, he tortures them slowly with Force lightning, while cackling with glee. Even his own apprentices are merely disposable tools to be discarded when they've outlived their usefulness. His manipulation runs so deep that he managed to deceive the entire Jedi Council for decades. Every crisis during the Clone Wars was carefully engineered to grant him more emergency powers. He didn't just want to rule, he wanted to crush hope itself. When he finally revealed his true nature, he didn't just execute the Jedi, he humiliated them by having their own clone troops gun them down. His charm and political savvy allowed him to convince billions during the Clone Wars that he would end corruption, all while being its greatest source. But Palpatine's evil goes beyond mere tyranny. He actively enjoys causing pain and suffering, viewing it as entertainment. He forced Darth Vader to live in constant agony inside his life support suit. He took sadistic pleasure in turning father against son, trying to goad Luke into striking down Vader in hatred. Even his own son was just breeding stock to him, a failed experiment only kept alive to potentially produce a worthy vessel for his spirit. In Palpatine's mind, the entire galaxy exists solely to feed his endless hunger for power and cruelty. Number 2, the Lich from Adventure Time. The Lich represents death itself, an ancient being of pure destruction whose only goal is the extinction of all life. Unlike most villains who seek power or domination, the Lich simply wants to eradicate existence itself. There's no reasoning with it, no bargaining. It is the embodiment of inevitable doom. Every word it speaks drips with cold malevolence, its very presence capable of killing lesser beings. Cold and calculating, the Lich patiently pursues its goals through manipulation when brute force fails. It has destroyed countless worlds before reaching Ooh, leaving nothing but death in its wake. What makes it truly terrifying is its complete lack of emotion or attachments. It cannot be appealed to through mercy or empathy because such concepts are meaningless to it. The Lich sees life itself as an aberration to be corrected through universal genocide. Despite its frightening power, the Lich isn't a mindless force of destruction. It carefully analyzes its opponents and adapts its strategies accordingly. Learning from past failures, it's perfectly willing to play the long game, waiting centuries for the right moment to strike. While trapped in Prismo's time room, it endured months of humiliation without complaint, patiently waiting for its chance at omnicide. The Lich represents the cold, inevitable end of all things, patient, implacable, and utterly devoid of mercy. Number 3, Homelander from The Boys. This character represents the darkest possible version of a superhero, a being of immense power, corrupted by ego and a complete lack of accountability. Behind his patriotic smile and carefully crafted public image lies a psychopath who views normal humans as mud people beneath his contempt. His powers make him virtually invincible, and years of being treated as a living god have twisted him into something monstrous. His evil stems from a toxic combination of superiority complex and deep-seated insecurity. Raised in a laboratory by a corporation, Homelander never developed basic empathy or emotional regulation. He craves public adoration while secretly despising the very people who worship him. Despite his immense strength, he's emotionally unstable, capable of switching from charming celebrity to murderous tyrant in an instant. He's crashed planes full of innocent people, let crimes happen to boost his publicity, and casually murdered anyone who threatened to expose his true nature. Even his relationships relationships are toxic and manipulative. He views his teammates in the Seven as possessions rather than colleagues, subjecting them to constant psychological abuse. His love for his son Ryan is really just an extension of his narcissism, seeing the boy as a chance to create a better version of himself. When Stormfront entered his life, he embraced her Nazi ideology, not out of genuine belief, but because it fed his sense of superiority. Number 4. The Judge from Blood Meridian. This villain stands as one of literature's most enigmatic embodiments of evil. A massive, hairless figure of impossible knowledge and power, Judge Holden represents humanity's darkest impulses given form. He travels the American frontier, spreading violence and corruption wherever he goes, all while maintaining the manners and education of a refined gentleman. But he's a remorseless murderer and child predator who kills with scholarly detachment. The Judge views violence as the ultimate truth of existence, preaching that war is life's highest pursuit. His knowledge spans everything from geology to music, yet he uses this learning only to better understand how to corrupt and destroy. He sketches artifacts in his notebook only to destroy them, claiming that by documenting them, he becomes their owner and master. The Judge's immortal nature and supernatural abilities hint at his role as something beyond human, perhaps a demon or a physical manifestation of humanity's capacity for evil. He dances and fiddles while atrocities occur, celebrating the darkness in human nature. His philosophical discussions serve to justify and encourage mankind's worst impulses, all while maintaining an air of sophisticated intellectualism that makes his evil even more disturbing. Number 5. Darkseid from DC Comics. This one stands as DC Comics' ultimate embodiment of tyranny and evil. As the ruler of the hellish world Apocalypse, he commands vast armies of parademon soldiers in his quest to dominate all reality. But simple conquest isn't enough. Darkseid seeks to impose his will on the very concept of free will itself through the anti-life equation. His ultimate goal is to remake the entire multiverse in his image, transforming all of existence into an extension of his dark will. His rule over Apocalypse demonstrates his idea of perfect order, endless rows of fire pits where slaves toil until death, while his elite enforcers crush any hint of resistance. Darkseid doesn't just kill those who oppose him, he breaks them utterly, often forcing them to serve as his mindless soldiers. Even his own children aren't safe from his cruelty. He's tortured and killed them simply for questioning his will. As a new god, his true form exists outside the normal universe, in a higher plane of reality. The Darkseid we see is merely an avatar of his true self, and yet even this lesser form is powerful enough to go toe-to-toe with Superman. He's so dangerous that even Batman and Superman, heroes who normally refuse to kill, acknowledge that his death may be necessary to save reality itself. Number 6. Nyarlathotep, Lovecraftian Horror. Among the terrifying pantheon of Lovecraftian horrors lurks a being far more sinister than the rest, Nyarlathotep, the crawling chaos. While most cosmic entities, like Cthulhu or Azathoth, simply exist beyond human comprehension, caring nothing for our species, Nyarlathotep delights in walking among us. He doesn't just destroy, he plays with his food, taking on countless forms to personally witness the madness and suffering he spreads across the cosmos. As the messenger and soul of the outer gods, Nyarlathotep differs from his kin by actively engaging with humanity. He doesn't just destroy, he corrupts, manipulates, and drives people to madness for his own amusement. While other cosmic entities might destroy worlds out of incomprehensible alien motivations, Nyarlathotep does it with calculated cruelty and sadistic joy. His intelligence and understanding of human nature make him uniquely dangerous. He can appear as anything from a charismatic pharaoh to a writhing mass of tentacles, choosing whatever form best serves his goals of corruption. Unlike the mindless destruction of other cosmic horrors, Nyarlathotep's evil is personal and deliberate. He wants his victims to understand their doom is coming, to feel their sanity slipping away as their world crumbles. Number 7. No Face, Spirited Away. Now, No Face from Spirited Away presents a unique type of antagonist, one whose evil stems not from malice, but from uncontrolled desire and influence. Initially appearing as a mysterious spirit, No Face transforms into something monstrous when exposed to the greed and corruption of the bathhouse. His ability to absorb the traits of those he consumes leads him down a dark path of gluttony and destruction. Unlike other villains who actively choose evil, No Face is more a mirror reflecting the worst aspects of those around him. When he first enters the bathhouse, he's quiet and harmless. But after consuming corrupt spirits and being surrounded by greed, he becomes a monster, throwing gold around and devouring anyone who approaches. His rampage through the bathhouse isn't driven by hatred or ambition, but by a desperate need to connect with others in all the wrong ways. Number 8. Donquixote Doflamingo, One Piece. Donquixote Doflamingo represents the intersection of privilege, cruelty, and raw ambition. From his earliest days, he was taught that he stood above ordinary humans, and boy, did that lesson stick. But his comfortable life came crashing down when his father decided to live among normal people, giving up their divine status. Young Doflamingo never forgave this perceived betrayal. The boy who once played with slaves as toys turned his rage against his own father, murdering him in cold blood for daring to make him common. This childhood trauma twisted him into something truly dark. When he took over Dressrosa, he didn't just want to rule, he wanted to make everyone suffer like he had. He broke the former king's spirit piece by piece, turned an entire kingdom against their beloved ruler, and pulled off something truly twisted, transforming people into living toys while erasing all memory of their existence from their loved ones. And through it all, he wore that signature smile, hiding a sadist who got a kick out of every scream and tear. The gladiator fights, the slave trade, the casual murders, it was all just a game to him. The scary part, even locked up in Impel Down's deepest level, Doflamingo hasn't changed a bit. He still carries himself like the god he thinks he is, demanding daily newspapers like he's at some luxury resort instead of the world's most secure prison. In his mind, he's still that celestial dragon, looking down on everyone else, just temporarily inconvenienced. The crew he once called family, just tools in his grand scheme. The kingdom he ruled, nothing but a stepping stone. That's Doflamingo for you. A man who lost his crown, but never lost his belief that he deserved to stand above everyone else.